This
support
conference
group.
will now be recorded.
And but I'm going to go through and still try to pick up now people. Jim Barnes, would you like some time tonight?
I think I'm okay tonight. Thanks, Herb.
Good. And Al, Al Latimer, would you like some time tonight?
Quick update, thank you.
Okay, Russ, you're on twice. I see two Russ Hoovers, neither of which with a with an image, but you're here twice.
I don't know what's going on.
Okay, that's why you're here. You're definitely here twice. So I'm going to get rid of one of them, and then you'll right now, and then it's not this. All right. Okay, Russell. Now you can answer. Russ, would you like some time tonight?
No, thank you. I don't know what happened there. The screen went blank, came back on, and I couldn't find the screen, so I had to re-enter. Probably on my end. Anyway, nothing for me tonight, but thank you. Bye.
Okay. And Bill Bradford, are you new to us?
I joined up last week.
Last week.
Okay,
So
I
was interrogated last week.
Would you like some time tonight?
No, I'll be an active listener tonight.
Okay. Dr. Antonucci, would you like some time tonight? Oh, I'm hearing an echo,
It's
but
coming from Joe Gallo. I'll mute him. I'm on it.
John, would you like some time tonight?
And Adam's last equestrian thing is.
Are you? You're not muted, but I can't hear you. I'll come back. Don Price, would you like some time tonight?
No, thanks, Herb. I'm good.
Okay. And Len, what about you? Len disappeared. Okay.
So he's back.
No, he's waiting. He's okay. Okay, great.
Good.
And Larry Fish, how about you?
No, no, thank you.
Okay, Carl, do you have an update for us?
Not as of yet, but after my scans, which are in 2 days, I will. So next week I'll have an update.
Okay. And Tom, you are the new person tonight, right?
Which Tom?
Yes.
Well, we have two Toms, I guess. And one with a no last, not Tom Swartzel. Well, Tom Swartzel, I'll ask you, do you need any time tonight?
Yeah, I'll take a minute.
Okay. And Peter Monaco.
No, nothing for me, Herb.
Okay. And Stan, do you need any time tonight?
No, thank you, Herb. I'm okay.
Okay. And Russell, we heard from Paul Frieda. Do you need some time tonight?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, Mark, Dr. Mark, welcome back. Would you like some time tonight?
No, doing fine. I'll put a comment in the box, but no time needed.
Okay. Well, good to see you. Dennis, how are you tonight?
Hi, Herb. Good. Yes, I have an update.
Okay, good. And Ben, do you have would you like some time tonight?
Hi, Herb. Yes, please.
Okay, you'll get it. And Pat Martin, would you like some time tonight?
I'm good.
Okay, so I think if I missed anybody, let me know. Okay, Joe, I missed you.
Well, that's because I don't need anything tonight. Thanks, Herb.
Okay, and I didn't ask Rick, but.
Yeah, so I'll say what I need to say very quickly, which is that we were so overwhelmed, I think is really the word, with Len's interview, not just we, the AnCan, the sort of the AnCan inner circle, but everybody that I've spoken to. It was amazing. And I included the link in the reminder, so hopefully most of you have read it, or if you haven't read it, you can go to the reminder and you can click on the link. I had no idea that it had happened, and the first I heard of it was when our good friend David Marshak, who's on our advisory board and part of Foundation Medicine, sent me an email, and I read it, and I'll put the link if somebody else hasn't, or maybe Jake will do it. We'll put the link in the chat window too, so anybody who hasn't seen that link can read it. But my fratello is a superstar. What can I say? I mean, it's a really insightful, heart-wrenching, heartwarming, I should say, piece. And we will tell you that out of that has come an effort that we will be putting together, where we will be looking to see if you're interested in us focusing on the backgrounds of more of you, learning more about what's behind just the condition. And Len has very, very graciously agreed to project manage this, and we'll kind of model it on what we do for Solo Arts Heal. We'll be putting together just a quick survey just to see if there is enough interest, and if there is, then somehow or other, I'm not sure how we'll do it, maybe in a written form, maybe with a recording, maybe an extra live meeting, but we're going to do something, because we recognize that it can really bring people, galvanize people, bring them together, but based on what we saw with Len. And the only other thing I wanted to say is to all of you, because I forgot to put it in the reminder, but I think Alexa sent it out today. We're going to be doing a Solo Arts Heal tomorrow night with Elliot Kerman, and it will be really good. It'll be really special. For those of you who don't know that name, Elliot was one of the founders of Rockapella, and he was the house band on Where in the World Has Come in San Diego for about 4 or 5 years. He's not in the music business anymore. He's somebody who came to us through the active surveillance community, and then went through surgery, and he's a part of the AnCan family. And that's all I wanted. That's all I want to say. So thank you for listening to me.
Well, okay, great. And with that, I think we'll move on to begin. And I'll begin, Tom. Tom, I don't have your last name on the screen.
It's Cook.
Okay, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
So hi, Tom. So, Tom, how old are you?
I'm 63.
And where do you live?
In Oregon.
In Oregon. That's a big place. Is there Portland or outside Portland or?
Well, Portland's outside Oregon City. I live in Oregon City. We're older than Portland.
Okay. As an East Coast person, I'm not that familiar with the West. So tell us, when were you first diagnosed with prostate cancer?
I was diagnosed, January of 2020 with stage 4 prostate cancer.
Okay.
And they started me off short time
So
with
So tell us stage 4, and what was do you know your Gleason score or grade? Gleason grade at that time?
I don't remember what it was. Wasn't very good.
Okay.
I have mets
And
to
what
my
was your
bones.
PSA? What was your PSA?
PSA was 1074.
1074 or 10.74?
1074.
Okay. Okay. And so that's a pretty high number. So And where was that diagnosed?
Where was that what?
How was that picked up?
Come on in.
I was having pain in my neck, and they gave me some meds for it, and then I had missed a couple of doctor's appointments, so I went in for the physical to get that, and they found the high PSA, and it turns out there was also the Mets in my neck that was causing the problem.
I see. I see.
He wants to come down here
Okay.
and take me to a restaurant.
I will. Okay. I just muted Paul.
Well,
so
I'm
we're
on
okay.
it. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm on
I
it.
did it. Okay. So
Okay, sorry
okay.
about
So then where were you diagnosed?
Well, technically it was in the ER, but I had gone in for my
I mean,
biopsies.
This is your local hospital, or?
Yeah, local hospital with my urologist who put me in contact with an oncologist, and the pain in my neck had gotten so bad I went into the ER on New Year's Eve, and they confirmed with the CT scan that I did have cancer, and then they put me into the ER doctor knew my urologist, and the urologist hooked me up with the oncologist, all in the Portland area.
Okay. So do you know the name of so do you have an oncologist right now?
Yes.
And who is that?
That's Dr. Ruzick.
Okay. And is he a specialist in GU or prostate?
It's a she, and not so much specialist in prostate, but.
Okay. So what did she do when she found this high PSA and CT scan result?
She started me on bicalamide, which the ER doctor didn't even know what it was.
Right.
And then when I did get into her, she started me on Zytiga with prednisone daily, and then Zometa and Zoladex or Zometa to strengthen the bone.
Right, exactly. And so what happened after that?
Well, we had several meetings with her, and she explained I had stage 4 cancer. There wasn't a cure of any type for it. We went through the different scans, full body scan, to find out exactly how in depth it was. Turned out my shoulders, hips, 3 places on my back, and 1 place on my rib that had some cancer on it. And
so that was in January of 2020.
Right.
And so so here we are a year and a half later. How are things? What happened?
PSA is down at less than 0.01. It finally got down last July. It had been steadily dropping. She was happy with what it was doing. And now it's just a wait and see when the Zytiga is no longer working, and then trying a different meds or see what's available at that time.
I see. So did your doc do any genetic tests at all on you?
Yes, she did. The genetic test showed no genetic problems.
Meaning no mutations in either the tumor or your germline.
Right.
Okay. So that's a pretty encouraging story for sure. And so the question I have for you is, how do you have any questions for us tonight?
Not right now. I keep meaning to get into the group, and I've been getting emails for the last 6 months to a year, and I always seem to be doing something else and ignoring it. And I finally made it in here. There are times when I have some issues. I'm on Zero Facebook page, and I've put issues up there and gotten answers and things from that.
Uh-huh. So are there
So,
things that are concerning you right now in terms of your therapy or future or
yeah, future's always a problem, but the
right?
therapy, like I say, it seems to work.
Hmm.
As I learned more about prostate cancer and everything else, I mean, when they diagnosed me, I had no idea. When I learned more, it seemed like I was going in the right direction. I had a friend or someone I knew from high school was diagnosed about the same time, and he passed on at the end of August, and he had the same diagnosis I had, but
Hmm.
they were attacking it with chemo and everything else, and it just knocked him right out of it. I don't know whether it was different, how different it was, but it was stage 4 to the bones, and they went
Right.
after it with chemo and a bunch of other things. And at first I was feeling like, boy, they aren't doing anything. But the more I've learned, the more I realized that that may have been the right,
Hmm.
it's spreading and growth, and that's,
Well, I mean, I think that there is certainly level 1 evidence for both chemo and for Zytiga in a situation like that, in terms of level 1, meaning very strong support that either one is a choice. So I guess what I'll say next is, do any of the group have questions for Tom?
Well, yes. I mean, I don't have questions, but I have some words of navigation, and I think it's probably something that maybe we can open up a little bit here, Tom. If it were me, I would be seeing a specialist genitourinary medical oncologist. I would not be seeing a general medical oncologist. There are a number of reasons for that, but the biggest reason that I hear from what you've told me is that the way this Dr. Rusick treated you was not according to NCCN guidelines for somebody diagnosed in your condition. That may have been because you didn't want to do the NCCN guidelines, but when somebody is diagnosed with what they call high volume metastasis, as you were, de novo, then chemotherapy is recommended up front. And I've been an advocate now for 14 years. And one observation that I've made that's totally anecdotal is that the men that do early chemotherapy do better in the long run. And that's the reason, and especially where there is a fairly high level of metastasis. Now, you're doing great, and the therapy that she gave you was obviously worked. But I think that in terms of the right way to sequence to get the most out of it, that it would have been smart to consider early chemotherapy, and I don't know if she presented that option to you. The other reason is because, especially in where you are, when you do need another treatment, then you've got the doctors in place already, and the options that you're going to find at somewhere like OHSU are probably going to be a lot more extensive than the options in a community oncology practice.
well, it's through Providence. They've got an 11-story cancer building here in Portland, and that's where she's based out of. So I don't know. She wasn't recommending that the chemo, but I don't know all the ins and outs of it. Like I say, when I first started, I had no idea. I did have niece and nephew who are both doctors who came in with me to try and, because I was kind of blown away from it. They were interpreting for me and presenting what I was saying, or what they knew of me for referencing it. So they were there with me to go through the procedure. So I don't know where it should have been.
Well, the treatment that you got wasn't necessarily wrong or bad treatment. Was it the optimal? We're not sure. And I think the bigger issue is that what many people who are newly diagnosed don't appreciate is that the genitourinary medical oncology and prostate cancer is pretty specialized, and that most docs don't specialize in it. And if you have, whereas if you have breast cancer, most oncologists know a lot about breast cancer. Most oncologists don't know a lot about treating prostate cancer, and the field is moving so quickly right now with so many new things happening, so many new drugs, that it's really important that you're with a doctor who is staying up in the field and not just a general oncologist. And that's the reason why we really urge you to have a GU medical oncologist, a prostate cancer medical oncologist leading your team rather than the general. Anybody else want to
I will back
chime in
that
on
up,
that?
Rick. I think the issue isn't that here's, you went through what is certainly an appropriate first diagnosis, maybe for a patient with fewer Mets than you had, but the real issue is what happens next. And there's a case where there are so many different possibilities for if things need to be different, that I think you need a GU medical oncologist who'll be aware of what's up, what's next. And I think a general oncologist, my experience is general oncologists don't know. They can't read about everything. They can't read every bulletin that comes through about what's new in every subfield. So I think what Rick is saying is maybe you should think about at least now just getting a second opinion from a GU oncologist before you need it.
Okay. You say geo-oncologist?
GU.
GU. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Genitourinary.
It's genitourinary. And let me just tell everybody there's a chat window, especially for Tom and for Larry. There's a little question mark bubble in the top right-hand corner. If you click on that, it'll open up. There'll be a window. And I'm just going to put in the name of this specialty, genitourinary or GU, medical oncology. And whoops, I meant to send that to everybody, and I sent it just to one person, so I'll send it again. Thank you. Somebody else did it. George did it for me. There you go. Thank you, George. You beat me to it.
Rick, do we have a recommendation in Oregon?
Yes, we do. We have, there are 3 good docs at OHSU that we would suggest you see. Tom Beer, Tom Beer, I think he spells it B-A-E-R, but he pronounces it Beer. Julie Graff, Graff, that we've heard really good things about. And then Jackie, I forget her last name. It's like a CZ. Does anybody remember the name? Chuky, is it? C-U-K-Y? Anybody? Do we have any of our Portland? Where's Ted Healy tonight when I need him? No Ted Healy. I'll look it up and put it in. But I would say any one of those 3, Julie Graff, Jackie something, which I'll put in for you, or Tom Beer. And I would try and get in to see them and start working with them and with your community oncologist.
I mean, the other question that's going to come up And again, it may be because high volume disease, the issue is still out in the open about whether there's an advantage to irradiating your prostate, even in the presence of metastatic disease.
Oh, yes.
And,
Very good.
and I think that's something you want to discuss with the GU oncologist, because there is some recent publications which show an advantage for doing it. And up until now, there wasn't any data. So right now, you didn't have any radiation.
Well,
right?
they irradiated my neck where the pain was and wiped out the
Right.
pain.
For sure. But they didn't irradiate the primary, which is the prostate.
No.
So,
No, so let me just fill you in a little bit on that one, because you'll get pushback probably if you raise it with Dr. Rusick. Traditionally, it was not done. 10 years ago, there were really only two places that did much radiation of the primary. If you were diagnosed de novo metastatic, it was Mayo did it quite often, and Mayo in Rochester, that is, and Memorial Sloan Kettering also considered it. Over the past 5 years in particular, I don't want to say it's become standard of practice, but it's now included in the NCCN guidelines. And what we've, as Herb mentioned, the research suggests that treating the primary is a very good thing to do to lengthen your life. And it can be done with surgery or radiation. I think most of us here, if it was us, would choose the radiation, although we've got a couple of guys, we've got somebody on the call who went through the surgery. But the idea of treating the primary and debulking the tumor has got a lot of value. And it's definitely something that if I were in your shoes, I would be seeking to do.
Okay.
but I think the first thing is go make an appointment with one of those GU oncologists and just say, look, I want an appointment. I want to tell you where I am. And I want you to be, let's see what you think.
Okay.
And, and if your doc is any good, they're going to say that's a great thing to do. They don't want that. A second opinion can't hurt.
All right.
So any
Tom,
comments from other folks?
Tom, you really want to find out what your Gleason score is. That tells you how aggressive your cancer is and how quickly it can accelerate. You may have that if you have any of the information about the biopsies you had. It does show the Gleason next to the biopsies usually.
Yeah, I do have that information somewhere in I believe it was like an 8 or something, but I don't.
It sounds like it probably is an 8 or a 9.
Yeah,
but
it sounds like an 8.
Yeah, so I haven't found any use for the Gleasons other than initial talking things, but I don't really know what, besides it as a rating, I didn't know much about that when I first got them or what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Tom,
it's a scoring system that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You mentioned that you had a friend who was in a similar situation who passed away in August, who went through chemo. We're all very different. As you listen to all of us speak tonight, we're on a myriad of treatments, and we all have a different path, especially with advanced disease. And we're going through all kinds of different therapies and stuff, and we all react differently. So you don't fall into something that says, chemo is too hard and it might not work. I mean, you're an individual and you'll be able to manage this disease as we all are. Some of us for years. And so be optimistic, work with a good doctor, and you're going to find going forward over the next months and years, there's new things coming out all the time and being approved. And you might be a candidate for some. There might be some clinical trials, it might be useful, but don't be fearful. You're going to be around for a long time, and you'll be okay, and you'll be able to manage this, just like we all are.
Thanks, Peter.
I just want to make one comment. I just recently interviewed doctors, if you would, and some of the guys in this call suggested some doctors in the Chicago area, and I went and I interviewed them, and I let them know that I'm not settling on you. I'm here to listen to what you have to say. I want to get an idea. I went to Northwestern. I met with a doctor. Then I met with the radiologist there. I also went to the University of Chicago and met with the doctor there and the radiologist there. And then I made my decision, and I told them, hey, I'm looking to pick a doctor. Now, what pissed me off is my urologist, who I had been with for many, many years, when I asked him for a reference, he said, I don't know of any GU oncologists. And it really pissed me off because this guy was pretty prominent in the area. And so, again, they talk about be your own advocate on this call, and that's what you need to do. And when Peter just mentioned new technology. When the PSMA scans were new, I asked where can I get one, and somebody posted in a chat book spot that there were 8 different places doing trials. I took it upon myself. I reached out to all 8. I wrote emails. I got accepted into the University of Michigan. I got in the car and I drove 3 hours up there, and I got my PSMA test done on my own. No doctor reference, no nothing. And again, Tom, be aggressive. Just go after it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Bruce. I mean, Tom, my own story, I'm going to just take a minute to say it about radiation. I went to my primary GU and they said, well, and went to the radiation oncologist associated with where I'm treated. And she said, well, it's not in the NCCN guidelines, so we're not going to do it for you. But after I went back to the GU people and said, look, this is something I think we ought to do, they went back and said, yeah, you know, you're right, let's do it. And it wasn't, if I didn't go to them, and at the suggestion of Rick and others on this call, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have known about it. So I think, as Bruce said, you've got to be your own best advocate, and interviewing these docs and seeing what they think about your future is an important step. Are there any other comments? Because I think we really want to move on and soon.
I just want to tell Tom that in the chat window, I put the name of the 3 docs who are all at OHSU, Tom. Jacqueline Vuky, Julie Graff, and Tom Baer.
If there's enough time, I'd like to ask a question too. This is John.
Sure, Larry. Oh, it's John. Sorry, I missed it.
It's John, yeah. Wait, I can't find his picture now. Where is he? Well, anyway, oh, there he is, Tom. You look a little more discouraged than most of us would if we had just dropped our PSAs by 1,000 points. So I was just wondering if you were still in a lot of pain. And besides that, I hope you keep coming.
Yeah, no, I'm not having any. Well, the only pain I have now is the bone aches at night that wake me up.
Oh, okay.
And I'm trying CBD oil to see if that helps eliminate a lot of that.
All right, we'll try to make you smile a little. There's a lot of stage 4s that you're looking at in this picture, including myself.
Unfortunately.
There's something that you raised that's really important there for everybody, Tom, and it may not be available at the cancer center that you're at right now. But if you're having pain at night and you've still got some issues around bone pain, we'd strongly recommend that you use a palliative care service. Let us just be very clear that when we talk about palliative care, we're talking about symptom management. We're not talking about end of life. It's very different. And palliative care docs are there to improve your quality of life. and they have all kinds of tricks up their sleeve, how to get you to sleep better, how to help you with fatigue, how to treat pain, whatever it is. Now, if you go to OHSU, they're going to have a palliative care service. They may call it something else like symptom management or whatever. They all have acronyms for euphemisms, I should say, for palliative care. But we want you to talk about getting somebody like that in your service, or going back to Providence and saying, I need a palliative care doc, because you shouldn't be having problems sleeping at night. There are ways to treat that. It's not necessary.
Yeah. So Rick, I want to move. I think we are needing to move on, but
Sure.
I think Tom, I hope you continue to come back, and we'll be here for you and to share both ways. And I think you'll be able to let us know how things are going with you too.
Okay, thank you.
So before I go on, Sylvester, do you need any time tonight?
No, thank you very much.
Okay. And Phil, do you need any time tonight?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, great. Okay, so the next person we're going to talk to is Larry Meadows. Larry, welcome to our group. And you heard the questions I'm going to ask, because I'm going to ask you the same questions, which is, how old are you? You're not muted, but we can't hear you. I don't know what's going on, but you can hear us, I take it, but your mic is not working.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
We are now.
Okay.
We are.
Gotcha.
The mic is working now.
Okay. I neglected to hit my mute button.
Okay. So Larry, tell us, how old are you?
This is Bill we're talking.
It's Phil. And
okay,
Larry, you need to hit that unmute button, period.
This is Phil, and I talked
Phil?
with you 2 weeks ago, yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Phil, but we're actually trying to talk to Larry, but thank you.
Okay, I'll butt out.
Thank you.
Okay, Larry.
Larry Meadows.
Larry Meadows, you're not muted, but we still can't hear you. Maybe you want to go out and come back. That sometimes solves the problem. And we'll take, when you do, we will begin together. How's that? Maybe use the chat. Somebody send a chat message, if you would. So Larry, I think I'm gonna move on, and then if you manage to unmute and say something, we'll hear you. Okay? We can't hear you.
Herb, the other thing is for Larry, you can also call in Larry on your phone. We'll put the number, somebody will put the number in the chat window for you, and then you can use your telephone just to call in and leave your video image. But because obviously you've got a microphone, there's a microphone problem there at your end, I think.
Right. All right, Joe, do you need any time tonight? Joe Murgia, welcome late.
Don't ask people.
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so let's begin our rounds. And if Larry, if you just leave unmuted and we'll listen for you. Okay, so Bruce, tell us what's going on.
All right, let me run through a quick history here. Got diagnosed in 2013, had it removed in 2014, stumbled across Rick and John back in that time in the 2014 era. Actually went out to San Francisco and Rick and I had dinner in Sausalito. So we actually got to meet. After that, I was clear for many years. And at the time, I started through a church group, started cooking meals for people with cancer. And had a young woman that had some kids, and she just couldn't put food on the table. So I was making meals and bringing it to her. And then I started doing it with other folks. So I moved and I'm in a new area now, and I ran across a woman who actually does bags for people, cancer patients, and it could be hats and socks and all kinds of goodies for people who have cancer, and she delivers these bags. Well, her husband happens to have prostate cancer really bad, and he won't come on the call. He hates technology. He's a patient of Dr. Schmolowitz. So we got to talking and stuff, and I said, hey, can you direct me to some folks in the area who could use a meal? And she did. And so I started it up again where I cook meals for folks that typically, it's typically women going through chemo who are just, they're having a rough time. So I'll put together the whole spread, salad, dessert, the whole 9 yards, bring it over, drop it off. No questions asked. And I just enjoyed it. I love to cook. So as you know, I think my PSA started climbing again and got over 0.2, which is chemical recurrence, and started moving up slowly. I went and had that PSMA scan, which showed nothing. Talking to the doctors, it's probably micrometastatic, that it's undetectable at this point, but my PSA is rising. So probably where I had some positive margins, there might be something going on. So Dr. Stadler at Northwestern at University of Chicago, and Dr. Lauer, the radiologist here, they both recommended if I want to take care of this, to have radiation. So I decided to do radiation, and I'm in 14 days now. So I thought, what can I do to make this fun? So I also do restaurant reviews in my neighborhood on a Facebook page. And I live in Valparaiso, Indiana. It's a big food town. And so we have a really cool breakfast place called Susie's. So I wrote a letter on there and I says, hey, look, if you're going through cancer treatment, meet me on Friday at 8 a.m. I will buy you breakfast, and let's sit down and talk about what's going on in your life, talk about your treatment, talk about the outlook and a positive outcome, and just tell your story. I got some great receptions. The first day was only one person, but it was interesting. She's terminal. She came with the oxygen and the scarf on her bald head and the whole 9 yards, and it was just a wonderful hour to spend with her. Talk about an optimistic woman. The second week, I had 4 people show up. So I'll be doing it again this Friday, and I'm getting some good responses already from some new people. And basically we just sit and we talk and just share our stories and share our optimism of a good outcome. And so I continue to cook the meals when people ask, and then we do this, as I call it, my breakfast club, which is a lot of fun. And on my Facebook page, or on the restaurant review page, every time I write about it, I'm getting 200 to 300 responses, likes, loves, the whole 9 yards. So it's taken off really good. It's a lot of fun. And I gotta tell you, after reading Len's article today, Len, your quotes from Lord of the Rings, the romance with death, all that quote, all that stuff was great. Some of those things I'm going to steal. I'm going to print them out. I'm going to hand them out to some of the folks that show up on Friday, and just to give encouragement. It's a lot of fun. So it makes my treatment better. Not that it bothers me. I mean, for me, it's a piece of cake right now. I mean, it's 37 treatments of salvage radiation. And I actually, on Fridays, I make cookies for the staff at the hospital in the radiation ward. So last week I brought in 3 dozen chocolate chip cranberry oatmeal cookies, and I met with my doctor on this Monday, and he says, "Hey, I came in yesterday to do some extra work. There were 5 cookies left, and man, they were so good." And so, you know what? It just, I treat this thing, you know what? It's your life, live it. Just have fun with it. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Bruce, that's a great story. It's really heartwarming to hear the response to this, because I think, and again, this is sort of having been through real recovery, it's really a very important thing to get people to talk to each other and look forward.
Well, Herb, it's interesting because I have, and I sent this quote to Rick. I have a woman who keeps emailing me. She said, "I really want to come to this, but I'm so afraid to come out as a cancer patient." And that really hurts me, because it's like, what are you afraid of? You're not a leper. You have cancer. It's a curable, it's a treatable disease that we can live with. And come on, and it's so much better if you talk about it. And since 2013, everything that I have been through, I've posted on my Facebook page. I have a group of guys that I went to college with, I play rugby with, and they're my age. And so I let them know. And I've had a couple of guys reach out to me and say, "Bruce, I've been reading your page. I just got diagnosed. Can you help me through it?" And I do. So that's just what I do.
Bruce, this is Len. I just want to give you free reign to steal whatever you want from that interview, because I stole it too. So, there's nothing original or creative in me.
So what do we have? We have a den of thieves here?
What?
We have a den of thieves here?
You bet. But
plagiarism is the sincerest form of flattery.
Absolutely.
Bruce's story
but not plagiarism.
Bruce's story is why, as Rick mentioned earlier, we want to start this project, and we want to get the stories of you guys, because I'm sure there are many interesting stories, more interesting than mine. And it's good if we all know about the things we're doing, and they give us ideas. Like Bruce, if you happen to be a good chef or a baker, maybe you can go out and do something similar.
That's great. Bruce, that's such a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I love it. I really, really love it, Bruce. And I just want to say that this issue about coming out around your cancer is a topic that we're going to be picking up with Elliot tomorrow night, because it's a big issue for him. And when I said to him today in our prep, "Is there anything you really want to bring out tomorrow when we talk?" He said, "Yes, I want to talk about how important it was for me to come out about my cancer."
Okay, one more thing. I got my Movember beard going on. And just so you know, in November, I will be dyeing it light blue for the whole month. I swear to God.
Fantastic. So the other thing I wanted to say before we close is I'm going to put my address in the chat window for cookies. So now, okay, great. We're getting a message from Larry Meadows that he's okay now. So let me talk to Larry. Larry, how are you?
I'm okay. I am sorry that I didn't get connected appropriately the first time.
That's all right. We're here. So tell us, let's begin. How old are you?
I'm 78 years old. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and was diagnosed 13 years ago.
Which is 2008.
Yes, in October, and it was
What was your diagnosis then?
well, it was a result of my annual physical and the blood work, and my PSA at that time was 5.6. And my doctor recommended that I see a urologist, and I chose a urologist who had been a practicing urologist, but now is practicing just prostate cancer treatment because he also had prostate cancer. And he recommended that, well, we did the routine stuff of biopsies, and my Gleason score was 3+4. And the highest that my PSA had been is 5.6. About 2 months later, at a large hospital here in Phoenix, they removed the prostate and seminal vesicles. They did find that it had metastasized to the seminal vesicle. So my PSA went down, but then it started going back up. And about 2 years post-op, he recommended that I go see a radiation oncologist. So they did a plan of irradiating mostly the seminal vesicle area. So then the PSA started.
Let me ask a question. So at that point, this is sort of like 2012.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So PSA started going down. It had gotten up as high as like 0.7 when it should have been 0. And when it started going back up again, gave some concern. So about 2 years after that initial radiation, then there was the availability of a PET, C11 acetate PET scan. And they found a small uptake in a lymph node area down in the pelvic area. And so then I had another radiation treatment, and the PSA ended up going down to undetectable for about a year before it started going up again. So I had a different kind of PET scan back in like 2018, and it was
that was probably FDG PET, probably.
This was a F18 Axumin scan.
Oh, it was an Axumin scan. Okay.
And they found nothing. And the PSA kept going up. And so then about a year later, I had a C11 choline scan at Mayo here in Phoenix, and they found nothing. And a year later, I had it repeated.
What was your PSA at that time?
At that time, it was like 2.5.
Okay.
And then this last year, in March, I had my second C11 choline scan at Mayo, and this time my PSA was 7.2. And again, nothing was found, except they did have a questionable area in one of my lungs. So my doctor then, he sent me to a pulmonologist who agreed that it probably.
So let me ask a question, Larry. So who is your primary doctor ordering all these scans?
He's the urologist.
Okay, so here I think you just heard Rick a few minutes ago, and I'm going to echo what Rick just said, and maybe it's changed by now, but you have systemic disease. Urologist is focused on your urogenital system. That's not where your problem is at the moment. You don't have a prostate. So a urologist is of no use, right? You have no disease. You've got no prostate anymore. Any disease you might have is elsewhere, right?
Yes, right.
So have you ever seen a GU oncologist? I
have not, but I have been speculating even more recently that I should.
Well, I think we heard you heard us talk to Tom, and I think for you it's even more significant, you've got something going on. You're getting scans interpreted by somebody who's not trained to do it and not trained to treat it, right?
Well,
and so what treatment do you have right now?
I'm not in any treatment. And during this time now, I must say, I have now lost my PCP. He is retired. So I'm without a PCP. And I'm currently in communication with Mayo to see if I could find an appropriate PCP there. And they will be calling me back to set up an appointment next week. So I'm kind of in limbo right now.
And what was your most recent PSA?
The most recent was at 7.2 back in March. And this Friday, I will go for another blood draw for another PSA.
So look, let me say a couple of quick things, Larry.
Yes.
You may well need a PCP, but what you really need at Mayo is a oncologist. And I'm going to give you a couple of names. I like Alan Bryce very, very much. Bryce. He's the chief of the group there. We have other men on this call right now who see Parminder Singh, Singh. They like him very much. I think if it were me, I might probably go for Bryce over Singh, only because I think that he's very much involved in research in immunotherapy, and that's where we're going. But I think that if you can't get in to see Alan Bryce, to go to Parminder Singh is going to work fine. And then there are other docs there too. There's a lady whose name I forget off the top of my head, but there is a lady who's also a GU medical oncologist. She's a little more junior, but you got to get your butt into gear and get over there. The second thing is they're not scanning you with the right technology right now. And that's why they can't see anything. That's why they don't see anything with the C11. I don't know why the Axumin didn't show anything in 2018. It may have been that your PSA was too low. Do you by any chance remember what your PSA was when you did the Axumin scan? Roughly.
It's probably like 0.8.
Yeah, that's the reason why, because you're right. You were right at the limit of where Axumin is probably good from about 0.8 upwards, 0.9 upwards, 0.85. But they should be scanning you right now. I mean, I don't know who ordered a C11 scan. Why? Whoever ordered a C11 scan in March should have been ordering either an Axumin scan or trying to get you into one of the PSMA scans. And now the PSMA scans are readily available, so it should be easy. It should be easy to get a PSMA scan today.
Yeah, and at the time back in March, he equivocated on whether having to repeat of the Axumin versus the choline. But since I had the choline scan a year before, he decided to double up on that. Yeah, so, and he has been sending patients to California to have the PSMA scanning. Now it's available here in Phoenix also. He would have gotten me in for having that now, but it wasn't available in March. Now it is, but he didn't.
We're not docs, Larry, but the one thing that we can tell you is that you don't want to leave this disease untreated because it gets a grip and then you can't reverse it, right? The second thing we can tell you is that with your situation, that we would expect that we would see a result out of the right type of scan, and you need some systemic treatment. And the third thing is, if you're going to get systemic treatment, you don't want to get that from your urologist. You want to get it from a medical oncologist, and preferably one who specializes in prostate cancer. And you have very good options at Mayo.
That's why I'm anxiously awaiting talking with him next week to get the ball rolling.
So who are you talking with?
Well, this is how their system goes. You say that you want an appointment, but then you have to fill out a lot of information. When you fill that out, then you get an email response saying they will call you, and that's like 2 weeks out. So that precedes actually having an appointment to see a doctor.
Right.
To start out with.
But you can self-refer straight to the medical oncologist. You don't have to go through a PCP first.
Yeah, I can.
But I would say tell them who you want to see.
Okay.
Tell them you either want to see Bryce or Singh or the I'll put the lady's name in the chat window. I got to look it up because I can't remember.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
I think it's Priscilla something or the other. I forget, but I've got it written down. But like I say, you've got two really good names. I like Bryce a lot, and either Jerry or Dennis can give you their feedback on right now on Parminder Singh.
Mm-hmm. Now this is at the Mayo Hospital. We have two Mayo presences. Yeah. Okay.
This is
the other's clinic.
This is at the Mayo.
Yeah, they're both at the hospital.
Okay.
And I
thanks.
have Dr. Singh, who has been treating me since 2015, when he was originally part of the University of Arizona Cancer Center down here in Tucson. It started with him, and we did the chemo with him there and ADT. Then about a year later, he got the offer to go to Mayo, so that's where he is now. My cancer started progressing after he left, and he told me, he said, if you don't like what you're getting here after I leave, call me at Mayo, which I did, got me in right away, did the scans, and sure enough, they found more mets had progressed. And the doctor I had down at the U of A just refused to want to do anything for me, even though my PSA was going up. So Dr. Singh has done a great job for me. He's still my main quarterback on decision making when I get issues. And he works with, down here, I've got a local oncologist, not a GU, but he's a very good oncologist, and he's very close personal friends with Dr. Singh. So I'm able to work with him locally for all the routine stuff, blood things, blood tests, and so forth. But Dr. Singh is, he's not going to volunteer a lot of information. You've got to know a little bit about your own disease so you can ask him pertinent questions and you'll get good answers.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
After surgery, you should have gotten a new Gleason score, an updated one. Do you know about that? What happened? If you did get one?
I don't think I got an official one. No, but yeah, it would be a Gleason score.
You should check with them. It's important to find out what it was after surgery. I know in my case, I was 3+4, and after surgery, it was 4+3, which means it's more aggressive. And you just want to find out.
Okay. Thank you.
But I think the key, Larry, that I think you're hearing is you need a new quarterback doc. You need it soon. And you need and that doc should be one of those that Rick is telling you about, one of the Mayo GU oncologists. And they're going to do they're going to order the appropriate scan. They're going to order a Pylarify scan. They're going to order genetic testing. They're going to look very carefully because that's what they're trained to do. And so, and the sooner you get this done, the better. I think as Rick said, the sooner you do it, the better off you will be.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions from other folks or comments? Okay. Well, Larry, please keep with us. We want to hear the continuation of this story. We want to make sure we can stay on top of it. I mean, you've heard it said before, you are your own best advocate. You just can't sort of, you can't just ignore your condition and be very not aggressive.
Yes.
So there you are.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll keep in touch. Okay. Next, Dennis McGuire. Dennis, are you with us?
Yeah, hi, Herb.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Update. I had a meeting last week with University of Chicago to discuss the lutetium managed access program that Novartis is offering. And we are moving forward with that. So next steps are to get all the paperwork and all my records updated with Novartis. And the hope is that I get approved by Novartis and can get more lutetium treatments.
Mm-hmm. Good. Because you were shortchanged.
Yeah, I had 3 treatments, that's right. And as many of you know, the Vision trial was 6 treatments. So.
But the treatments were larger doses.
They were, yes.
The problem is we don't know if the fewer larger doses are as comparable as smaller, longer doses where we've seen good effect. Not you got effect, but you didn't get as much effect as we hope you get. And so now the question is, what happens in this second round with you, I think? Yes? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's right. And because everything with lutetium is so new, they're learning every day how folks are responding. And maybe that's one of the things that came out of the trial I was on, is that the higher dose does not have a higher impact.
Right. I just uncovered 2 lutetium trials yesterday, speaking with Novartis, with AAA, which I've referred Len and Herb have looked at them. One is for people that are castrate sensitive, and it's really, in my view, it's really set up for people that are diagnosed de novo metastatic. So somebody like Herb would have been perfect for this trial when he was first diagnosed 2 years ago. The other one is for people that are castrate resistant, but who are chemo naive. And it's kind of a strange trial as well, as Len has pointed out. I mean, the trial itself doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense.
Well, it only makes sense if you think of it in terms of the drug of Novartis wanting to have a positive result, no matter what happens.
Yes, exactly. Dennis, I have another question. What's going on with the Provenge? And did you decide to get a port? And where are you with that?
I'm going to put Provenge on hold for now until I get a definitive answer on lutetium.
Okay.
So priority now is to get on the Novartis program.
Okay. Got it.
Dennis, this is Al. Will you have to, if they accept you, will you have to pay for the drug, or do they cover it?
My understanding, it's covered by Novartis.
Great. And do you know what the criteria they'll be using to determine if you're eligible?
I don't know what all the criteria is, just only what's been listed on the managed care program in clinicaltrials.gov.
Yeah. And Just to digress for a second, Jerry Deans is in the process of getting an appointment, the same sort of appointment that Dennis had last week with, did you see Shmulewicz or Stadler last week, Dennis?
No, I met with Dr. Patniak.
Okay, Patniak. So Dennis, Jerry's in the process, but he is starting his brain met. He's starting his cyberknife to the brain mets this week, and he's also getting himself back on LHRH because he's been on the BAT therapy, and we think we've got him directly onto Orgovix. We've been working on that this week, and so we're almost there, which is also really important because he has to have a testosterone less than 50 to be eligible for the lutetium trial, and right now he's at about 80.
Dennis, this is Al Latimer. As you know, I'm in the middle of my lutetium trial right now. I was approved on a on a compassionate use basis. I assume that's what you're doing as well, that you applied to Novartis on a compassionate use basis, which means they pay for the drug. I don't know if you know, know exactly how that's proceeding or not.
Yep, that's right.
While we're talking about lutetium, I've had 3 treatments now, and I had an updated PSA last week. It's now basically 2.0, down from 60. So, and I have another treatment next week and 2 more after that. So I guess we'll see how it goes.
Wow. Okay.
Are
So
they
here we are,
taking?
we're getting a,
Are they taking new people? Do you know still at UCLA, Al?
I do not know, but I can inquire when I'm there next week.
Yeah, if you could let us know.
I can find out from the nurses what the current situation is.
Yeah, if you could just let us know. It just helps us when we're navigating other men. But really appreciate it.
I believe my next appointment is a week from Friday.
so any other questions about lutetium for either Dennis or Al?
I did want to mention I talked to Dr. Reddick last Friday at the VA in Los Angeles, and he said that trial is still available at UCLA.
You're talking about the scanning now.
You're right.
We're
No,
on
I'm talking
different.
about the lutetium trial.
Okay, you're talking about the LU-177 trial.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're saying that, so the answer to the question I just asked Al is they are taking new patients.
That's what he told me at the time. He was telling me about what the requirements were to get into it. So yeah.
Thanks, Phil. That's helpful.
That's good. Thank you, Phil. Okay, so let's move on from lutetium. Ben, tell us what's up.
So I wanted to ask if anyone had any experience, knowledge about a physician formerly at Weill, now at Dana-Farber, named Hamisha Beltran. Whether anyone has used her, heard of her?
Yeah, she's good.
Okay.
Yeah, she's she's a good GU. She's definitely a good, reputable GU medical oncologist, and she does a lot of research. I don't know that I've ever known anybody who's used her, but I will say that whenever I've heard her being interviewed on presentations, she seems very warm and friendly. But that's just my impression, Ben. She's at Farber now, right?
Yes.
That's what you said. And where was she before? Was it Mount Sinai? Where did you say?
Weill.
Mount Sinai?
Weill in New York City.
Yeah, that's right. Weill. Yeah.
Yeah, she seems to be an authority. Her research, she's done a lot of research in neuroendocrine prostate cancer. And looking at my Decipher grid, I'm way out there for neuroendocrine markers. So I'm going to talk with her December 1st.
Yeah, I don't think you can I don't think you can go wrong. Who's your main man at right now at
MSK? So another Dana Rathkoff. So I will see her just a few days after I see Beltran.
That's right. That's right. I'm sure I know they know each other, and I know
they must.
They do, and I know they work together. I think I might have even heard them interview on the same panel. So I'm sure that she would only welcome, knowing Dana Rathkoff, she'd only welcome that.
That's great to hear. Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks, Ben. So Al,
anyone else? I just want to check. Has anyone else run across Dr. Beltran? Hey.
Okay, Al, I assume you made your report?
Yes, I just wanted to update where I stood, and I took the opportunity when you were talking about the.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay. So next, Gary Peters.
Hi, Herb. I don't need any time tonight. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I thought you had said you wanted to ask a question. Oh, you wanted to learn about fishing. Okay.
I wanted some tips on casting.
Okay, great. Later. Joel, tell us what's up. Joel Blanchett.
Yes, thank you. I got some bad news, and I've got some very, very good news tonight. The bad news is I still haven't heard from Dr. Denmead at Johns Hopkins about the 3 questions I asked him about what to do next. If you all remember, I had took my second PSMA PET scan, and it found some prostate cancer on my neck, but the MRI they gave me said there's no prostate cancer on your neck. So I'm trying to still navigate through this dilemma. I talked to Jerry Deans today, and he's having the exact same problem with Dr. Denmead as I'm having. He wanted some enzalutamide, and he couldn't get Dr. Denmead to respond to his request. So he never got the enzalutamide he wanted. He says that is because the medical community is going through the same problems the rest of the country. They can't hire anybody. A lot of nurses have quit because of COVID. A lot of office staff have quit because they don't want to be exposed. And so these doctors are operating with increased patient load, but no support staff. So that's what he blames it on. Number 2, I'm going to see a medical oncologist who deals with head and neck cancer at 11:15, 2 days from now, Thursday. And so just for a second opinion to see what he thinks of all this. I also have a communication in with my radiation oncologist to see if what kind of scan can be used, and that goes to the rest of you guys in the room. If you know of another scan that can be used instead of an MRI to map out where they're going to radiate on my neck, I would like to know the answer to that, because I still don't know the answer to that, because Dr. Denmead won't talk to me. But the good news is that I now have an appointment with Dr. Antonarakis at the University of Minnesota. So he's back into the game. He has been accredited by the state of Minnesota. And on the 17th of November, I go see him, and hopefully he can be my quarterback again.
Are you going to go back to Minnesota, or is it?
No, I have to go. I already knew that. He told me about 4 or 5 months ago that I would have to go visit him there once, and then after that we could do telemedicine. And he's very good at it. The problem is with Denmead, he doesn't answer your questions, and with Dr. Antonarakis, it's the opposite. 1 or 2 days after you ask him a question, he responds to you religiously. So there's no comparison, in my opinion.
Interesting.
You know, I just want everybody to understand your dilemma, because you run over it, and it's a real toughie, which is that the PSMA scan appeared to show something. The MRIs and the CT scans really didn't show anything. And people are saying, well, when I say people, Joel's medical team there's nothing to treat. And yet at the same time, they're trying to plan radiation for the neck, to the, I forget what's the name of the bone where you have it?
I don't know. I don't know this.
Where,
all I know is my right rear neck.
yeah, it's the oxy something. Come on, either Dr. Mark or Dr. John.
Mark,
One of you.
come on, Mark, where are you?
Well, wait a minute,
Yeah,
Doctor. Go ahead.
Sorry, wasn't listening.
It's the bone. I can look it up, but it's the bone that your skull sits on.
Occipital.
Yes.
Occipital.
Yeah,
occipital.
Well, no.
Right. Thank you. I think that was Jake. Yeah. So that was so it's the occipital, and
Atlas, no.
Yeah, I just don't get. I don't get how they can be telling you don't have any cancer there, but they're planning radiation, Joel.
Well, you know, Dr. Denmead is the one who told me that'll be SBRT most likely. Let's take the MRI first, and then your radiation oncologist will have it. Well, trouble is, I had an appointment with a radiation oncologist already, but I had to cancel because the MRI says you don't have prostate cancer. So that's, yeah.
You said occipital? You don't mean atlas or attis? Atlas or axis?
No, occipital condyle is the bone.
Okay.
Yeah. Occipital condyle. There you go. Now, who is it that's planning the radiation for you? Is that the VA or is that Hopkins?
No, that's my previous radiation oncologist that radiated my left iliac bone when my cancer spot was on the left iliac, and he did a good job because the second PSMA PET said no more cancer there.
But where is he?
He is having a baby right now in Northern Virginia.
So you know, again, it sort of concerns me. We've got to be really careful when we're mixing and matching doctors. And I'm certainly not opposed to it, but we get certain strange results like this. And you know, he's the one that needs to be chasing down what the heck this means as much as you are, because does he want to radiate you if you don't have cancer, which Johns Hopkins would swear to?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to be in to see him as soon as I can, but it probably, since he's having a baby, taking 2-3 weeks off, it'll probably be after I see Dr. Antonarakis.
Is this isn't Sean Collins, is it?
No, this is
Sean Collins is at Georgetown.
Right, but he said from Northern Virginia. So who is it?
Dr. Eblin, Michael Eblin.
Okay. Well, I think you got to get down to the bottom of whether there's something there or there isn't something there. I mean, you know, my feeling is if it goes up on a PSMA scan, that's more reliable than an MRI or a CT scan to indicate prostate cancer.
Yeah, so Joel, for me, I was going to say the last time you brought this up, and we ran out of time, can you get somebody else to look at that scan, PYL scan?
Well, yes, Rick and Joe Gallo tried to do that for me just this past week. And the guy, the VA and UCLA and North LA, VA, and UCLA. We sent him the records. He looked at the written part, it looks like. He looked at the MRI report and the two PSMA PET scan reports, one from Walter Reed, one from Johns Hopkins. And he says, go talk to your radiologist at Johns Hopkins. Well, I'm not qualified to go talk to the radiologist at Johns Hopkins, in my opinion. I know nothing about radiology.
Well,
but that's not really an answer I would have hoped for.
No, exactly.
That's what we said. That's exactly what we said. We were disappointed, but it is what it is. We tried. I mean, the only other thing I can think of, Joel, is I could reach out to Marianne Haino at Lantheus and see if they've got anybody that would be willing to look at it for you. But it seems to me that really, before I do that, I would like your radiation oncologist to review it. Has your radiation oncologist seen this PSMA scan?
I sent him a courtesy copy the day after I got it out of Fort Belvoir. What he did with it, I don't know, but I told him it was just a courtesy copy. I expected to be seeing him in the next month for radiation.
Okay, but you haven't had his response back, right?
No, and he doesn't know yet that I've had an MRI that was negative.
Okay, so I think the next step before we go to Lantheus is that you have to put together an email to the radiation oncologist, which is what the fellow in what I forget his name in Belangi or whatever it is, the fellow at UCLA, West LA VA, as he said to you, show it to your radiation oncologist. It doesn't mean that necessarily have to be the guy that's at Hopkins, but you need to show all these scans to your radiation oncologist and let them determine whether they think there's something there or there isn't. If they're still confused, then we'll go. But that would be my next step. I would follow what he suggested.
Yeah, I've already done that. I have sent everything to my radiation oncologist. The thing is, he hasn't responded yet because he's having a baby.
Okay.
So that's the
So
problem.
if worse comes to worst, I might send an email to Peter Choike at NIH, who has been doing this from the very beginning, and ask for if he could help us have somebody look at it. So that's another option, Joel.
Okay, very good.
And I'll explain how we're all in this boat, and nobody understands parathyroid scans yet.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, that was the first thing Denmead told me when I walked into his office. Is I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to read a PSMA PET scan, even though we invented it here at Johns Hopkins.
Right. And I heard the same thing from Carducci. He said, it's information we don't know how to deal with. So, all right. So keep us in the loop. And if you want me to do that, Joel, you let me know.
Okay, we'll do it, Herb. Thank you.
Okay. Peter, what's up? Where are you?
Yeah.
Are you back in the US?
No, I'm in Minneapolis, and we leave on Sunday morning to head down south and west. I'll make this quick and brief. So according to my last blood test the other day, I'm for the first time in years below 0.1. I'm down to 0.08. And now I'm at the 2.5 month point of being on monotherapy darolutamide, no Lupron, no Orgovix or whatever. So I'm just on 2.5 months, and my testosterone bumped up a little bit. It's always been down around less than 4, but it went up to 16 on this test. So I don't know what it all means, but I'm feeling pretty good and I'm happy about this.
That's great.
Wow.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So I just on an aside, my last meeting with Dr. Schultz, you know, as soon as I met with him on the phone, he automatically said, "Well, you need to go back on Lupron." And I said, "Whoa, wait, did you look at my questions yet?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, pull them up, please." And because the first thing I said was, I'd like to forget about Lupron for a while, and I can always go back on it. And he was amenable to it. I mean, he was just pulling things out of a hat there, which is a standard procedure. But he was, as soon as he listened to me and heard me, he said, "Yeah, let's try getting off of this stuff and see how you do on monotherapy."
Peter, did you do a combination of Lupron and darolutamide first for a period of time before you cut the Lupron?
Yes, I've been on Lupron for quite a while.
No, I mean with darolutamide, the combo.
Yes, for over
How
a year.
long are you on the combo?
Probably a year and a half.
Oh, and the PSA came down to.
It was always above 0.1.
It was always above. And you stopped the Lupron and it went below 0.1?
Yes.
Amazing. You know, sorry guys, my oncologist has in her plan, in her notes, that's my plan, although she doesn't know if she agrees with it, but she has it down noted that that's what I'm planning to take the combo, and then if I see it drops, then to switch to just darolutamide, just refuse the Lupron shot.
Yeah, well, Len has paved the way. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
This is uncharted territory, and I mean, we can always go back, but it's good to.
Len got Dr. O to go along with him, right, Len?
Yeah, that's right, Larry. You know, what surprises me, Peter, is if I recall correctly, while you were on Orgovyx and darolutamide, your PSA was creeping up a teeny bit, not a lot, but somewhat. And then you dropped the Orgovyx, and now it goes down. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, it tripled in 1 month when I went off of it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's really strange.
Yes,
that is so strange.
Yep.
Well, and why not? I mean, why should the combination be any better than darolutamide alone? Because all that testosterone just has to sit around and not go anywhere anyway, as long as the darolutamide is in our body. Why shouldn't it work, you know?
Doesn't it
Well,
remind you?
I mean, Larry, it's a matter of competition, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Darolutamide is binding to the receptor, and if testosterone comes along, there's a competition.
Sort of like the Cassidex situation, where
right.
you know you're taking Cassidex, you add Lupron, then PSA starts to go up. You drop the Cassidex, and the Lupron alone drops your PSA.
So, I mean, there is an element of if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Well, right now it's working, so just reporting in.
Amazing, Peter.
Fantastic.
That's what I might say something different next month.
Isn't it an unfair competition, Herb? Isn't the affinity of darolutamide to the androgen receptor higher than the affinity of testosterone?
It is, but it's still all nanomolar, picomolar range. It's still there's still a competition, right? And
so if there's a huge flood of testosterone, it could overcome that.
Right, and it's also location. Remember, prostate cancer cells make their own testosterone, right? So some of it could essentially be floating around and getting to the receptor before darolutamide. And that's the reason you inhibit testosterone production.
Could have kind of that ligand breaking effect of a bat trial effect, or that's like too far fetched.
No, I mean we're speculating. We haven't, in vitro you could show competition assays. In a person, it's harder.
And the darolutamide binding is a reversible one, I assume.
That I don't remember. Len, is darolutamide irreversible or reversible?
I think it's irreversible, but not sure.
If it's irreversible, then it should be pretty good, because it means it's tying up the receptor, and you need to synthesize new receptors in order for the drug to have any effect. This is a theoretical discussion, but in any event, it's a real. We have 2 endorsements here for darolutamide alone, which is good to hear. I mean, this keeps us, I think this helps us be an incredibly well-informed group to have this experience that and Rick, we're not doctors, but we have more information than many doctors do about this.
Yeah, and I was just wondering, Peter, did you mention to Dr. Schultz that we have experience of one of our senior guys with, what is it now, 22 months? Is it 22 months, Len, that you have under your belt?
With darolutamide?
Yeah, monodarolutamide. How long?
Oh, monodarolutamide.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that one is about 16 months.
Okay. Did you tell him, Peter?
Yes, of course I told him. Yep. So I should also mention that the Bayer Patient Assistance Program for next year just opened up again, so you can apply to see if you qualify. And they've been picking up the tab for me for 2 years now, and I'm going to apply again and see if I take it for next year.
Great.
Bayer has given me mine for free.
Right.
Len, was it the same situation with you? Were you on a combination of Lupron or another ADT along with darolutamide for how long before you dropped the other ADT?
I think it was about 9 months or so, Larry, of the combination, and then I went on monotherapy.
Yeah, thank you. Very extremely interesting.
So I have a question for both you gents. From a quality of life standpoint, can you say, maybe it's too early for Peter, but Len, can you say that you feel a difference being on monotherapy versus being on both?
Definitely the first 6 months or so that or maybe a little less than that, maybe the first 4 months or so, I felt a boost after dropping Lupron. After that, I don't know if I just got accustomed to a certain level of energy on monotherapy with darolutamide, but I no longer felt like I wasn't on any therapy. So in other words, I felt somewhat fatigued. Nothing like I felt on previous androgen access drugs, but still something, some measure of fatigue, yes.
And where's your testosterone? Where's your testosterone right now?
It always comes in the low 300s, Rick.
Okay. And your PSA?
Still undetectable. I just had it done a week ago. Is less than, well, Mount Sinai's limit is 0.02, so it was less than that.
Sorry, go ahead, Peter.
I only feel a little bit of tiredness when I take my morning pills. About an hour afterwards, I feel a little bit logy, but the evening pills, I don't notice it at all, and my energy comes right back, and it's very different than Lupron. I just keep sailing right through it. So I can walk, I can do weights, I can do anything. It doesn't seem to affect me. But I know I'm on something, but it's as Len said, but it's not debilitating.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, I think I told Peter, but I don't think I told the group here. I actually cut back on the Darrow. Like Peter said, we were both commiserating, saying, we feel a little tired after we take that morning dose. So I cut back the morning dose from 2 pills to 1. And I've been doing that for about 4 months now. And so that morning fatigue is mostly gone.
Interesting. Well, this is really interesting information, and it's great.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts about darolutamide as monotherapy before we move on?
I
Okay,
guess the
Julian.
biggest issue for everybody, Herb, is how the heck can they get onto the darolutamide in the first place? That's the big trick.
Right, right. So Julian,
Hello, everyone. I just want to tell the group that I'm starting on my Abby tomorrow along with dexamethasone. Dr. E has put me on that, so I'm starting that journey now. So I just wanted to ask the group if they can send me emails of what their thoughts were. I'm going to be taking 4 of them in the morning just before I go and exercise.
well,
one thing, go ahead, Herb, sorry.
no, I mean, I think it's all timing because you need at least 2 hours after eating and an hour before. So if you take it and then go exercise and don't eat, you're fine.
Right, that's what I plan to do.
What I was going to say is it's interesting that Dr. E has put you on Dex and not prednisone.
Right. Huh.
Did she mention that? I wonder why. That's really, we have to find out from her why she's gone to Dex versus
too. But that's what I got.
Wow.
Anybody else want to comment about Abby taking that timing? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I would just say, just be careful of your liver function and make sure that's constantly monitored.
Oh, it is going to be.
And your blood pressure.
Yeah, I take
yeah,
it every afternoon.
Actually, John, you know, I don't have time, but I've just discovered my blood pressure went up. So I'm wondering if it's the Abby. But we'll deal with it. We're going to deal with it at the cardiac end.
It made my blood pressure go up, and it's a known common problem with Abby.
Yes. Yeah, I know, but I've been lucky and it hasn't been up and it's been really good. And then I just noticed the past few days it's up, so we'll just have to see.
I've never had a high blood pressure before in my life until taking Abby.
Well, Len, my blood pressure went up when I was about 18 months on hormone therapy, and I had started taking pills on LHRH, not on Abby, but on LHRH.
Right. Okay. Julian, keep us informed about how all this is going. Bill, you had something to say? Bill Bradford? He's muted, not there. Okay, we'll move on. Phil, you said you need some time tonight. You'd like to share with us?
Yes. I recently got a PSMA scan last week. I have 2 medical oncologists suggesting this is cancer in the lymph nodes of mediastinum and in the lungs. I've got 2 medical oncologists, Dr. Richard Lamb and Dr. Rettig, suggesting I should go back on androgen deprivation. And I've got the interventional pulmonologist saying I should get samples of the lung and lymph nodes. And both of which sound like the right thing. And I'm not sure what path I'm taking. I'm leaning toward the medical oncologists because they've seen me over time. The cancer is there, and the PSMA scan suggests it's the lymph nodes are lighting up as well as some of the not the malignancy, but the nodules in the lung. And I'm a little bit squeamish about getting the the test to get samples from the lung. So that's sort of the dilemma I'm in right now. I'm leaning toward the medical oncologist who are specialists in prostate cancer, leaning toward going on the drugs for a few months and actually getting another scan. But I'd like input.
So what's your current PSA?
See, I just got one today. Or I got the results today. 0.76.
And is that higher or lower than your previous?
A little bit higher. The previous one was 0.45 and 0.61. So it's right in that area, under 1.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, a biopsy can give a lot of information, but it's also in the lung, especially, it's risky.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that has to do with the specificity of the PSMA scan, doesn't it? I mean, what the heck else can it be? Why not just assume it's prostate cancer and proceed from there?
Well, that's what the medical oncologist is suggesting, that let's assume it's there, it's been there before in that area. The scan is showing an indication that it is. Let's do it. And, you know, of course, the other concern is if it's something else that might be more challenging than prostate cancer, maybe I should know about it in advance. So that's the dilemma.
But if it was, let's say it's a primary brand new lung cancer, wouldn't it not show up?
Right. It wouldn't show up with PSMA.
Actually, what I didn't tell you is I also had on the same day a what they call a high resolution CT of the lung, and
Well,
it does show, but it doesn't show whether they're PSMA avid or not. It just shows the nodules are there. So,
and where are you being treated, Phil? I forgot.
Well, the pulmonary person is at UCLA. Dr. Reddick is at UCLA and the VA in Los Angeles, and Dr. Lamb is in a separate prostate oncology practice. So where am I being treated? I think I'm being treated by the doctors that suggest androgen deprivation. We're talking about Relugolux and with Xtandi, which I've been on in the past.
Well, I mean, we're not docs, but it sounds like they're giving you good advice.
Okay. It's just a matter of which advice is the good advice is the hard part.
Well, I mean, again, a biopsy will give you information, but the question is, how is it going to change the strategy?
Yeah,
right?
Dr. said, for example,
if they discover it's not prostate cancer, then it changes the strategy. But what's the likelihood of that given a PSMA positive node?
I don't know. I don't know.
Len, what do you think?
Herb, I'm sorry, I was checking out the reversibility or irreversibility of darolutamide, and I wasn't paying attention.
And is it reversible or irreversible?
It's reversible. Not only that, I found out that it induces PSMA expression. So now I'm wondering if guys who are going to undergo lutetium PSMA might want to go on darolutamide to induce.
Let's go PSMA. Go on darolutamide to get more PSMA.
Yeah. But anyway, what was your question?
Well, it was really asking Phil. Phil is seeing that his PSA is going up. His PSMA scan showed lymph nodes and some spots in the lung, and he's got a divergence of opinion from different docs. His medical oncologist wanted him to go back on androgen deprivation therapy, and and I guess it was your lung doc thinks you should do a biopsy?
Pulmonologist.
Oh, yeah. We had this, I don't know if it was Phil or someone else last week or the week before, same situation. My advice was, why risk a lung collapse with a biopsy? Why not just go on the androgen deprivation and see if the nodule shrinks in the lung? Then you'll know if it's prostate cancer or not.
Again, it could be a mixed bag of cancer. We don't know. And
Yeah.
the concerning part to me is if it is lung cancer, then we've delayed some period of time, 3 months or so, to see if it shrinks with prostate treatment. So that's the fear I had associated with it. But I don't like the idea of sampling either.
I wonder if it could be treated with stereotactic radiation.
It probably could be, but I'd probably certainly try the androgen deprivation first. See if
Radiation,
it's
again,
radiation
if you,
can treat
I mean,
any type of cancer.
Right. What we're hearing is that basically, if there are very small nodules in the lung, you might be able to zap them without knowing what kind of cancer they are.
They're about 13 millimeters, 2 or 3 of them.
That's not so small.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, I like Len's suggestion, and I can't remember if it was Phil or somebody else who raised this recently, but I would see if they respond to a little ADT. And if they do respond, then you know what they were. If they don't respond, then you can decide whether you want to keep doing the ADT or whether you want to get a biopsy. I mean, they can biopsy them from through the throat, from through the esophagus, I believe.
Right. That's great. Okay, I appreciate the input. It's I'm pretty much leaning toward the androgen deprivation.
Yeah. It's a safe bet. It's sort of the conservative strategy.
Yes. Thank you.
We have a little time still because the MS people are coming in, but not for half an hour. So we definitely have time for Herb to hear about real recovery. And look, almost everybody stayed on. We've only lost a couple of people. So how big was that fish exactly, Herb?
Oh, the fish was, like this big. But no, actually, it's a really valuable experience. I gained a lot. Even I think there were 14 guys of various kinds of cancer at different stages, and basically it was a way of doing what we do here, but in a more at a level where we were interacting with each other over several days. And so we were able to listen to each other's stories and really appreciate what cancer does to people. And the stories were, some of them were astonishing. I mean, the people who got the most value at it were the people who didn't really want to go. And then they went, right? There were people there who had never told anybody they had cancer or never shared their experience with cancer. And for them to open up was quite important and gain the, friendship and camaraderie. So and there were several, it's organized sort of divided between sessions where you chat with each other and deal with issues and then fish. And so the fishing was important. You're paired up with a fishing buddy. My fishing buddy was actually somebody who's had his 4th remission for different kinds of cancers and is still actually being treated with chemo right now. But he was, extremely sympathetic, and we bonded a lot, even though he was, turns out he was a Oh, you're showing my picture. And that was the small one.
Oh, right, right.
As it, the first one that I caught was a little bigger, and my fishing buddy took the picture, and his camera malfunctioned. So for the second one, I brought my own camera. So there I am in a fishing gear, and you'll notice there are signatures on the vest, and actually my signature is right in the front there. But that vest is shared by they take those vests, and there have been 3,500 people who went through Real Recovery, and those vests are signed by the people who wore them while they were fishing.
Wow, 3,500.
Over the past 20 years.
Wow. Wow.
And the place we were at was an incredibly beautiful river it's a private fishing hole on the Rose River. So there were a lot, I don't know, you can't see any, if you look carefully, you could probably see fish in the water behind me, because you could see tons of fish. And had I been a better fisherman, I would have caught more of them. But as it was, I found the experience to be extremely valuable, both from the point of view of sharing and learning, and of course helping others. And we have a new, you'll see Rick, there's a new member of the blood cancer group who was there.
Oh.
So I did put in my 2 cents for AnCan. And if I'm ready to take questions. I mean, the fishing we had beautiful weather. I mean, it was 75 degrees and sunny all 3 days. So perfect for being outside.
Herb, if it's okay with you, I'm going to turn off the recorder.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you don't have to listen to this.
Okay.
Thanks, Jake.